Assalamu alaikum. Many other Americans have Muslims in their families or have lived in a Muslim-majority country. I know because I am one of them. But my father came from a Kenyan family that includes generations of Muslims. As a boy, I spent several years in Indonesia and heard the call of the azan at the break of dawn. I have known Islam on 3 continents before coming to the region where it was first revealed. That experience guides my conviction.
You are absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith.
As the Holy Quran tells us, the Holy Quran teaches that, the Holy Quran tells us, and the Holy Quran also says, we will convey our deep appreciation for the Islamic faith, which has done so much over the centuries to shape the world.
I would like to speak directly to the people and leaders of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Their great and celebrated culture. Over many centuries, your art, your music, literature, and innovation have made the world a better and more beautiful place. We know that you are a great civilization, and your accomplishments have earned the respect of the United States and the world.
I also know civilization's debt to Islam. It was Islam at places like Uluzar that carried the light of learning through so many centuries, paving the way for Europe's Renaissance and Enlightenment. It was innovation in Muslim communities that developed the order of algebra, our magnetic compass and tools of navigation, our mastery of pens and printing, our understanding of how disease spreads and how it can be healed. Islamic culture has given us majestic arches and soaring spires, timeless poetry and cherished music, elegant calligraphy, and places of peaceful contemplation. They have fought in our wars, they have served in our government, they have stood for civil rights, they have started businesses, they have taught at our universities, they've excelled in our sports arenas, they've won Nobel Prizes, built our tallest building, and lit the Olympic torch. And when the first Muslim American was recently elected to Congress, he took the oath to defend our Constitution using the same Holy Quran. In ancient times and in our times, Muslim communities have been at the forefront of innovation and education. Islam is not part of the problem in combating violent extremism. It is an important part of promoting peace. The enduring faith of over 1 billion people is so much bigger than the narrow hatred of a few. In the United States, rules on charitable giving have made it harder for Muslims to fulfill their religious obligation. That's why I'm committed to working with American Muslims to ensure that they can fulfill zakat. It is important for Western countries to avoid impeding Muslim citizens from practicing religion as they see fit. And I consider it part of my responsibility as President of the United States to fight against negative stereotypes of Islam wherever they appear.
We are no longer a Christian nation.
We do not consider ourselves a Christian nation.
The United States has been enriched by Muslim Americans. Since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. Islam has always been a part of America's story. There is a mosque in every state in our union and over 1,200 mosques within our borders.
One of the points I want to make is that if you actually took the number of Muslims Americans, we'd be one of the largest Muslim countries in the world.
Let there be no doubt, Islam is a part of America.
He did bow to the Muslim king, while he did not do it to the British Queen of England. And by bowing, he showed the world that I am subservient. I do bow down to you as a Muslim king, something no other president has done with Saudi Arabia. The Saudi king is his peer. He is not his subordinate in order to bow for him. And this is exactly what Obama did. Usually it is out of respect that someone would nod his head when bowing to royalty, and the ladies will give curtsy. But Obama went beyond what is required as a head of state and bowed to the Saudi king, and that's unacceptable. It sent the wrong symbol.
When you say it sends the wrong signal, what signal do you think it sends?
It sent a message that Islam is superior to any other master or king or president in the world, that an American president bowed to a Muslim king. It also sent a message that terrorism and jihadism is giving Islam the respect it should have on the world stage, to the point that it made an American president, for the first time in history, bow to a Muslim king.
And this is a common thought shared by all the
Presidential candidate Barack Obama is trying to change political fashion. He gave a speech in Iowa City today, and he wasn't wearing an American flag pin. Those pins have become synonymous with politicians since 9/11. Obama says he doesn't like how the pin has come to represent patriotism in America.
I won't wear that pin on my chest.
It's a little weird, Alan, that in the middle of the campaign the guy takes off the American flag that most people wear because they're proud of their country.
Let me speak as clearly and as plainly as I can. America is not and never will be at war with Islam.
Thank you. And Eid Shoma Mubarak.
On June 28, 2006, Senator Barack Obama gave a speech to the Call to Renewal Conference, where he explained why he finds it so difficult for America to use the Bible to help guide our public policy.
Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith. Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application? Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
Senator Obama, after you so arrogantly mocked and ridiculed the books of Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and the Sermon on the Mount, taking those passages of the Bible so painfully out of context, you then condescendingly stated that, quote, folks haven't been reading their Bible, unquote, as if the American people don't know what's in there. The real question is, do you know what's in there, Senator? For instance, did you not know that most Christians and historians agree that the Sermon on the Mount contains the most spiritually inspiring words ever uttered by Jesus Christ or any other religious leader? And as far as your sarcastic remark regarding the Defense Department not being able to survive the Sermon on the Mount's application, I can assure you, Senator, that Christ would never advocate turning the other cheek to terrorists and America's enemies, as your smug laughter so clearly implied. And did you not know, Senator Obama, that the book of Deuteronomy, which you also arrogantly mock and ridicule, is what gave us the Ten Commandments? Folks, all those condescending remarks distorting our Judeo-Christian Bible did not come out of the mouth of Barack Obama's pastor, Jeremiah Wright. No, they came straight out of the mouth of Barack Obama.
Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
Paid for by phforamerica.com.
What's going on in white America, U.S. of KKKA?
You never heard those comments?
I hadn't heard those comments.
He was selling them in the lobby at a church.
What can I tell you?
How many times did you go to church a month?
You know, I'd probably go twice a month.
And he never said inflammatory stuff?
He didn't say stuff like that, all right?
Did he say white people were bad?
No.
It is this world, a world where cruise ships throw away more food in a day than most residents of Port-au-Prince see in a year, where white folks' greed runs a world in need, apartheid in one hemisphere, apathy in another hemisphere. That's the world.
And he never said inflammatory stuff?
He didn't say stuff like that, all right?
Did he say white people were bad?
No.
Where white folks' greed runs a world in need.
What can I tell you?
No, no, no. Not God bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human.
Jim, how much does experience right now really matter?
Well, Wolf, Barack Obama himself questioned whether he was ready to run for president back in 2004. Now he's fighting a two-front battle on the issue of experience, with John McCain and Hillary Clinton taking shots at Obama's resume. Flashback to 2004. Barack Obama had just won a landslide victory to become Illinois' next U.S. Senator. At the time, he ruled out running on a national ticket in 2008, suggesting back then he lacked experience.
So why have you ruled that out, running nationally?
You know, I am a believer in knowing what you're doing when you apply for a job. And I think that if I were to seriously consider running on a national ticket, I would essentially have to start now before having served a day in the Senate. Now, there's some people who might be comfortable doing that, but I'm not one of those people.
Barack has led by example. When we took our trip to Africa and visited his home country in Kenya, his home country in Kenya, his home country in Kenya.
Excitement. What that reminded me of was our trip to Africa 2 years ago, and the level of excitement that we felt in that country, the hope that people saw just in the sheer presence of somebody like Barack Obama, a Kenyan, a black man, a man of great statesmanship who they believe could change the fate of the world. Of somebody like Barack Obama, a Kenyan, a black man, a man of somebody like Barack Obama, a Kenyan, a black man, a man.
Well, listen, we want to congratulate you on Barack Obama, our new president, and you must be very proud.
We are.
Yes.
We really are. We're also proud of the U.S. For having made history as well.
Hey, one more quick question. President-elect Obama's birthplace over in Kenya, is that going to be a national spot to go visit where he was born?
It's already an attraction. His paternal grandmother is still alive, and
but his birthplace, they'll put up a marker there.
It will depend on the government. It's already well known. As I said.
Yeah. Do you know the?
Another Obama still living in the village is Barack's grandmother, known as Mama Sarah. Senator Obama has been back only a few times. Even so, there's a strong attachment between the two of them.
Barack enyati dalani. Barack enyati dalani. Barack enyati dalani.
Could I ask her? Could I ask her about his actual birthplace? I would like to see his birthplace when I come to Kenya in December. Was she present when he was? Was she present when he was born in Kenya? Okay.
His home country in Kenya.
Somebody like Barack Obama, a Kenyan, a black man.
Spot to go visit where he was born?
It's already an attraction.
But his birthplace, they'll put up a marker there?
It will depend on the government. It's already well known.
Who is this man who calls himself Barack Hussein Obama? What's his religion? And should I vote for him this November? I can't answer the last question for you, but after doing some thorough research, I can answer the first two. His legal name in Indonesia is Barry Soetoro, as shown on this document, recorded at the school he attended. It would have been unlawful in Indonesia to record any but his full legal name on this document. So as far as we know, to this day, in Indonesia, Barry Soetoro remains his legal name. Barry, or Barack Hussein if you will, attended a Catholic school in Indonesia, which was required by law to instruct him in the religion of Islam.
4 tahun lalu, pengusaha batubara ini tak mau mengubah desain bangunan rumah tersebut. Kamar Barack Obama misalnya, tetap dibiarkan seperti semula. Obama pernah berpose di samping lemarinya itu.
Kipas anginnya, ininya semua masih asli.
Here is a close-up of the document we showed you earlier. From the school in which Barry, or Barack Hussein, was instructed in Islam. The law of Indonesia, unlike that of the United States, does not allow for dual citizenship. Therefore, we can see clearly from this document that Barry, or Barack Hussein, was only a citizen of Indonesia and not of the United States. Since Indonesia does not allow proselytizing from one religion to the next, we can also see that Barry was a member of the religion of Islam, and as such would have been instructed in Islam by the school he attended
Right that
legally.
John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that has not come.
A birth certificate mysteriously appeared on the internet, attempting to impute United States citizenship status to Barry Soetoro, whom from now on we shall call Barack Hussein Obama. But upon close examination, we can see that this birth certificate, which was later copied to the official Barack Hussein Obama website, has no official stamp of the state of Hawaii, and therefore is not a valid birth certificate. Let's see the comparison once again. Once again, this is an example of a valid birth certificate, with an official stamped seal of the state of Hawaii and a correctly printed border. While this is the birth certificate presented on the Barack Obama website, which has no embossed seal and a clearly falsified border. In summary, the man calling himself Barack Hussein Obama has no real birth certificate issued by the United States, no evidence of a legal change of name, and no proof of legal repatriation to the United States if indeed he ever was a United States citizen. With regard to the question of religious affiliation, no baptismal certificate or evidence of a conversion to Christianity or to any other religion but Islam has ever been presented. So, who is this man, who even as a boy and a citizen of the largely Muslim nation of Indonesia has always aspired to become President of the United States? His real name is Barry Soetoro. Also, according to all available religious documentation, Barry was and is a member of the religion of Islam, since Islam does not allow for conversion to any other religion. It seems fair to ask why this man, who seeks as Commander-in-Chief to control the most powerful military force in the world, the largest economy, and the largest nuclear arsenal in the world, has not been more forthcoming about his own identity.
Sheriff Joe Arpaio says he suspects President Obama's birth certificate is a fake.
We believe probable cause exists indicating that forgery and fraud may have been committed.
Arpaio says his team of volunteer investigators believes President Obama's birth certificate is computer generated, and they say they have a person of interest that may be involved in that hoax.
So what is next? CBS 5's Heather Moore has been trying to get the answer to that question all night. Heather, what did you come up with?
Well, Catherine and Cena, the sheriff says maybe Congress needs to take this on next. It all started up again when the Tea Party of Surprise asked Sheriff Joe Arpaio to investigate. He in turn asked his volunteer cold case posse to dig in. Now, we spoke with the head of that team this afternoon who refused to talk to us about that so-called person of interest. However, he did say this may be the biggest scandal perpetrated on the American people. One of the biggest scandals, rather, perpetrated on the American people.
Oh my God. Nobody wanted this. You know, nobody wants to think this is happening, you know, in their country.
Lead investigator Michael Zullo claims the group didn't set out to take down the president.
Our goal in the beginning was to prove this document authentic. The problem is the evidence kept taking us somewhere else.
He says it took 6 months and 2,200 hours to come to the conclusion that President Obama's birth certificate from Hawaii, released by the White House last April, was manufactured.
It never was a paper document. It was literally created in the mind of a computer and resides on cyberspace.
The White House responded today by pointing to the president's comments last year regarding the same issue.
We're not going to be able to solve our problems if we get distracted by sideshows and carnival barkers.
This is your face, your reputation, your name in the front of this investigation. How comfortable are you making these allegations?
I'm very comfortable because we did seek the advice of experts regarding this. You can build the document. We could take the document apart out of the same file released by the White House. You can't do that if you just scan in a birth certificate or any other document.
So what do you say to the naysayers? And there are a lot of critics out there saying this is all, you know, a bunch of BS.
Prove it. We did. We proved our point. That document's created.
And from here, Sheriff Arpaio may look for a congressional investigation. We reached out to every member of Arizona's congressional delegation in Washington today. Only Representative Jeff Flake's office got back to us saying that he believes that President Barack Obama is a U.S. citizen and was born here in the United States. Reporting live in Phoenix, I'm Heather Moore, CBS 5 News.
Heather, thank you. So, how did they reach that conclusion? Here's more now from Investigator Zulu at today's press conference.
Mr. Obama's birth certificate, there are approximately 8 or 9 links and layers. Links and layers are indicative of a document being built.
The birth certificate was compared to a controlled document that investigators scanned into a computer. After close examination, Zulu said there were several inconsistencies between the two. One had to do with the so-called green safety paper. Investigators say it should be seen on the onset of the birth certificate, but they determined it was the last element applied to the document. Zulu also claims the register and date stamps can be moved around. He says if the document was authentic, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Whoever created this document imported that register stamp and that date stamp, laid it on a white background, and then filled in the green safety paper around it.
Zulu tells us Obama's birth certificate failed every test they put it through. All 6 videos explaining the steps of the investigation were uploaded to YouTube by the user Tea Party Power Hour.
CBS 5 viewers are speaking their minds on this one. Penny wrote, "What the heck is going on with this state? We have a disrespectful governor and a sheriff that is going rogue. Has everyone in power in Arizona lost their ever-loving minds? For Pete's sake, we have a lot bigger problems than this." Margie says the birth certificate should have been presented before Obama ever ran for president. Why wasn't it? He is undermining our country in a multitude of ways that the media refuses to expose. I wish I could trust our president, just can't. Susan chimed in, "It's costing us nothing to investigate Obama. I think he's a fraud. Did it occur to anyone that Obama is pushing amnesty so hard because he's illegal? I say more power to Sheriff Arpaio." Well, this story is just beginning to unfold. Stay with CBS 5 News for the most in-depth coverage on Arpaio's investigation into the president. And don't forget to check out our website, cbs5az.com, for updates.
I've spoken here last. Lots of ups, lots of downs, except for my approval ratings, which have just gone down. But that's politics. It doesn't bother me. Besides, I happen to know that my approval ratings are still very high in the country of my birth.
Let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country. And not just because Barack has done well, but because I think people are hungry for change.
during the campaign. Under this mandate, the government is forcing people to spend money, fining you if you don't. How is that not a tax?
Well, hold on a second, Georgia. Here's what's happening. You and I are both paying $900 on average, our families, in higher premiums because of uncompensated care. Now, what I've said is that if you can't afford health insurance, you certainly shouldn't be punished for that. That's just piling on. If, on the other hand, we're given tax credits, we've set up an exchange, you are now part of a big pool, we've driven down the costs, we've done everything we can, and you actually can afford health insurance, but you just decided, you know what, I want to take my chances. And then you get hit by a bus, and you and I have to pay for the emergency room care.
That may be, but it's still a tax increase.
That's not true, George. For us to say that you've got to take a responsibility to get health insurance is absolutely not a tax increase. What it's saying is that we're not going to have other people carrying your burdens for you, any more than the fact that right now.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, if you're at home and you were sort of flipping channels between the football games and C-SPAN, and you flipped on and only heard the majority party, you'd think, wow, what a great plan. I mean, really. You'd think people are just going to fall all over themselves, and all these adjectives and declarative statements, it just sounds wonderful, until you look inside that bill and you find handcuffs. Now, I'm not talking about figurative handcuffs. I'm talking about criminal penalties. Criminal penalties that have been mentioned by the gentleman from Texas, criminal penalties that have been mentioned time and again on this floor. We've heard from the best and the brightest all afternoon, and not a one of them have answered why it is you have to criminalize people to coax them into a plan that's fabulous. It makes no sense. And this isn't my words. This is actually coming from the Joint Committee on Taxation, a letter that was written, ironically, with Chairman Charlie Rangel as the chairman of that committee, released 48 hours ago, that says, in fact, if you don't comply with the individual mandate, what happens to you? You can be subject to 5 years in prison, and you can be subject to $250,000 in fines. And the other side, with all due respect, with all the adjectives and all the flourishing speech, have failed to answer that question. And I submit to you, if we listen today, if we listen to the remainder of this debate, they will be silent in terms of a good answer as to why it is you need to criminalize people to coax them into a plan. It's a failure. And we ought not stand for it. The small businesses, the entrepreneurs, and the self-employed that this would have an impact on, they say, look, you don't criminalize us. Give us relief. Let us purchase across state lines. Not in the Democrats' bill. Give us real tort reform, real liability reform. Not in the Democrats' bill in any substantive way. Let us purchase and work together to pool to lower costs down. The right to remain silent shouldn't be the word from the government. I yield back.
The gentleman from those who can afford to buy insurance but don't, can afford to do it but don't, pay a fine. And if they refuse to pay a fine, there's a threat, as there is with lots of tax fines, there's a threat of jail time. And the Senate removed that provision in the Senate Finance Committee. Do you think it's appropriate to have a threat of jail time for those who refuse to buy insurance?
You know, what I think is appropriate is that in the same way that everybody has to get auto insurance, and if you don't, you're subject to some penalty, that in this situation, if you have the ability to buy insurance, it's affordable, and you choose not to do so, forcing you and me and everybody else to subsidize you, there's a $1,000 hidden tax that families all across America are burdened by because of the fact that people don't have health insurance. There's nothing wrong with a penalty. Now, what those penalties are, I think they have to be high enough that people don't game the system. On the other hand, I think it's important for us not to be so punitive that people who are having a hard time suddenly find themselves worse off because of health care reform, and that's why we've built in some hardship exemptions. There may be situations, relatively rare, where even after the subsidies that are provided, it's still very hard for people to afford to get the health insurance that they need. And we should anticipate and build in those hardship exemptions. But I think the general broad principle is simply that people who are paying for their health insurance aren't subsidizing folks who simply choose not to until they get sick and then suddenly they expect free health insurance. That's a basic concept of responsibility that I think most Americans abide by.
But as the Senate puts its final bill together, and as the House and Senate prepare to vote on after the conference committee, they should know, does the president think jail time is an appropriate?
Well, I'm not sure that's the biggest question
no,
that
but
they're
it's
asking
a
right now.
It's a
so
question.
I think I put out the principle that penalties are appropriate for people who try to free ride the system and force others to pay for their health insurance.
Okay.
And he'll get same-sex marriage, homosexual against that. That's against God. He's for God. McCain is for God.
Obama's for socialism. Socialism. Obama's for socialism. Communism. No socialism for America. No.
Oh, yeah. Something away.
The Democratic Party proposes no new direction. Its idea is to put a human face on the program of its adversaries, to implement their program with a humanizing discount, give the bond markets what they want, bail out the reckless so long as they are also rich, use fiscal and monetary stimulus to make up for the absence of any consequential broadening of economic and educational opportunity, sweeten the pill of disempowerment with a touch of tax fairness, even though the effect of any such tax reform is sure to be modest. This is less a project than it is an abdication. President Obama must be defeated in the coming election. He has failed to advance the progressive cause in the United States. He has spent trillions of dollars to rescue the moneyed interests and left workers and homeowners to their own devices. He has subordinated the broadening of economic and educational opportunity to the important but secondary issue of access to health care, in the mistaken belief that he would be spared a fight. He has disguised his surrender with an empty appeal to tax justice. He has delivered the politics of democracy to the rule of money. He has reduced justice to charity. His policy is financial confidence and food stamps. He has evoked a politics of hand-holding, but no one changes the world without a struggle. Unless he is defeated, there cannot be a contest for the reorientation of the Democratic Party as the vehicle of a progressive alternative in the country.